Now to that major development in the Senate scandal. The RCMP says it has completed its investigation of Nigel Wright and will not lay criminal charges against the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff. The RCMP launched its probe after it emerged that Wright gave Mike Duffy $90,000 to cover Duffy's ineligible expenses. Our national affairs editor, Chris Hall, has been on top of this story all evening. Chris.
Peter, the Wright-Duffy affair has scandalized Parliament Hill for most of the past year. The RCMP spent 11 months investigating why Nigel Wright dipped into his own pockets to repay those expenses. Today, the result. The RCMP says Nigel Wright broke no laws when he gave Mike Duffy the $90,000. We have concluded that the evidence gathered does not support criminal charges against Mr. Wright. Wright hasn't spoken publicly since the news broke last May, but his lawyer issued a statement on his behalf. I believed that my actions were always in the public interest and lawful. The outcome of the RCMP's detailed and thorough investigation has now upheld my position. Wright's former boss, Prime Minister Stephen Harper, was never tight-lipped about Wright's role in the scandal, and like most yarns, Harper's changed with the retelling.
Mr. Wright gave Mr. Duffy money so that what he felt that the right thing should be done, that Mr. Duffy should repay the money he owes taxpayers.
He, Mr. Speaker, decided to do that on his own without informing us. For that reason, upon reflection, I accepted his resignation. On our side, there is one person responsible for this deception, and that person is Mr. Wright. It is Mr. Wright by his own admission.
Today, the Prime Minister's office said it was pleased the RCMP had made progress in its investigation.
Why won't the Prime Minister own up to his responsibility?
NDP leader Tom Mulcair says there's much more to uncover, starting with the Prime Minister.
I think Canadians still have a right to know exactly what went on, what the Prime Minister knew, and when he knew it.
How are you feeling today, Senator?
And then there's Duffy. He's also had a great deal to say.
Voluntarily pay back my living expenses.
About how the PMO fed him lines to claim he had repaid his own expenses, about how he was promised that auditors would give him a pass, and that he followed a script provided by the Prime Minister's closest advisors.
I wish I'd had the courage to say no back in February when this monstrous political scheme was first ordered.
With Wright now cleared, the obvious question is what happens to Duffy? If Wright broke no laws by repaying his expenses, did Duffy break rules by accepting the money? And then there's Mulcair's questions about what Harper knew and when. One email sent by Wright stands out in particular. On February 22, 2013, when Wright says, "I do want to speak to the PM before everything is considered final." Then, 1 hour later, "We are good to go" from the PM.
So a major development on this today, Chris, but where does it all leave Nigel Wright? Is he now completely in the clear?
No, the Ethics Commissioner, Mary Dawson, will restart her inquiry that was suspended while the RCMP did its criminal code probe, so she is still going to be engaged. And sources tell CBC News that Nigel Wright may still be called as a witness in a future criminal proceeding. Those same sources say he has cooperated fully already and will continue to do so. Peter?
All right, Chris, thanks very much. Chris Hall in Ottawa tonight.